Alright, today we're going to do a bit of an anthology episode. We're going to have one main run and then a ton of extra clips because I ended up recording way too much for this particular combo or set of combos. And one of the units I want to look at is the black bear. So this is a new free-to-play tier 6. Faint, remove 4 health from one random enemy for each food this is eaten this turn. So kind of long-winded, but when we get to it, it's going to be pretty easy to tell how it works once you actually see it in action. So here on turn 5, we actually face Gyomber. I'll link his channel in the description. You can always tell it's someone important when they've got the hat for winning the weekly brawl. I'm sure at this point everyone must have seen at least one of those videos of Gyomber winning a weekly brawl. But if not, I'll link them down below anyway. So we take the level up on tier 6 and we get Anubis. And because I intend to have all faint pets on my team, Anubis is a perfect complement to them. Its ability is pretty unique. It allows you to trigger faint abilities at start of battle. So here at level 1, it's only going to work on tier 1 and 2 units. But thankfully, our only faint pet is the sea urchin, which is a tier 2. So Anubis is going to work on it right out of the box. But in order for it to work with the black bear, which is tier 6, we're actually going to have to get Anubis to level 3. And I think Cyclops can probably help us with that. I don't remember if I actually end up getting the level 3 Anubis early in this game or not. I suppose it doesn't really matter too much because we've to wait quite a while before finding the black bear in the first place. But the sea urchin is definitely a keeper, so we're just going to let it take the buff from the flashlight here. And I think... okay, I'm going to keep the Cyclops for one extra turn. Now another thing we can do is we can put churros on the Anubis. That's another new food which makes an ability go before other abilities of the same trigger. So basically if it was a start of battle and you faced a 50 attack leopard, as long as the leopard doesn't have churros, you're going to go first. So it's very important to make sure that the faint pets don't get knocked out at start of battle in order for the Anubis ability to actually matter. So we find another Cyclops here. I probably shouldn't be freeze rolling like this. I guess I should just sell the Sphinx and take another loss on the next turn. In fact, we end up finding another Cyclops anyway. Okay, we're just going to buy it in the end. That was a really bad turn. And again, I end up facing Gyomber here. Clearly we were both grinding for something specific. I actually think maybe he was going for the Peach of Immortality here. So he's setting up with a ton of gold from the elk with the level 3 cell pet at the back. So now we're on turn 9. We can take a level up here and potentially find the black bear. But of course the Anubis is miles behind in terms of where it needs to be for levels. So we'll just buy the Cyclops separately and hopefully find a level up. Now another thing we could do is potentially transform the Cyclops into another Anubis. I mean, it is a long shot, but if we happen to find Water of Youth, it might be worth it. We take the Quetzalcoatl to trigger the level up on the sea urchin, and we end up getting the black bear in the shop there. So we will be able to grab it next turn. And this is nice when the mana snipe hits the badger and it ends up knocking out one of its teammates. So the one problem here with taking the black bear now is that in order for its ability to actually do something, we would have to feed it every turn. We don't have the farmer crow yet, which is the perfect companion for the black bear. But instead, we take the level up on Anubis, I get a phoenix, and I'm going to take that because it could potentially get us some draws and extend the game to such a point where we can bring in the exact team comp that we want. So these are the types of teams you want to face. Squads where they're putting all the stats into one unit at the front. So it's just going to get hammered by the multiple activations from the sea urchin. And now that actually we're on turn 11, we can potentially look for Mushroom. And so with the Mushroom plus the sea urchin's ability and the Anubis, we would be taking 15 health from the front 3 units, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but oftentimes that can be really punishing, especially for certain teams that are probably hoping to get multiple triggers on units at the front, and suddenly their stats are too low for them to get more than one attack away. Strange team here with level 2 rabbit but hardly any health to speak of. Not quite sure what's going on there. I think here I was actually tabbing out to probably check Discord or something, which is why there are long pauses there. So take the level up on the Phoenix and then the Anubis. So now Anubis is primed to actually trigger all of the tier 6 pets that we want. So we'll use the oysters to get some gold. And I think here, yeah, I'm just going to use cornucopia to get some food. And then I think if I had got a different food item, I would have fed the black bear. But since we get mushroom, we might as well put it on the Phoenix. Probably a little bit more valuable than putting it on the sea urchin. And then actually, am I just going to take... Yeah, we'll take the mammoth for a turn. We can potentially pill it next time out. So yeah, the black bear isn't going to do anything. You can see there, if I hover over it, it says 0 foods eaten this turn, so it's not actually going to do anything at all. Anubis will try to activate it, but it just won't do anything. And then here's a triple behemoth team, which is exactly what we want to see. Lots of stats for us to reduce. Now something interesting to note here is that Phoenix with mushroom, although we are activating the Phoenix at the start of battle, it can never give itself crisp. It will always give crisp to all of the other units. So it's extremely useful to be able to put perks on it and not have them be overwritten. Because at level 3, Phoenix covers every single unit on both sides. So we'll buy sell the Stingray to get the extra stat reduction from the sock. And then we just take the farmer dog here, which gives corn cobs at end of turn, just so that the black bear has been fed. And then we also bought an apple just to trigger its ability. And there you can see, we actually end up facing a Moby Dick team, which you don't see too often. But the black bear's ability goes off twice because the Anubis activates it, and then also it goes off when it faints as well. And now here we get the farmer crow. I think this was in the video just the other day, so I can reuse this graphic. Faint, feed 3 corn cobs to the nearest friend behind. So Anubis activates right to left, which means if you put the farmer crow in front of the black bear, they will both go off at start of battle in the correct order. And this is absolutely delightful. Here we face a buy-sell team with Pelican, and we completely ruin them by reducing their stats, which would have resulted in the salmon spawning with very low health. But we also overwrite the strawberries anyway, so the Pelican doesn't even get to swallow the units in the first place. And I end up just taking the love potion here. It's not going to actually do anything, but it does count as feeding the black bear for the purposes of its ability. Extremely low statted snipe team. We cover everything with crisp, we reduce it all down to 1 HP, so everything gets fainted. Extremely satisfying ending on that round. Phoenix is still super strong even though it was nerfed. And now we get into some of the additional clips. There will be some completely different teams coming up, but this one is almost exactly the same lineup. We've got slightly different equipment and levels, but this massive statted team gets completely reduced down by the black bear's ability. Actually looks like they've probably competoed something there because they had love potion on the cat. And again, Phoenix does a lot of good stuff, and we end up barely winning, but still, that was the goal, was to beat as many of these large stat teams as possible. And then next one is slightly different. We don't actually have Anubis, so we don't get the guaranteed triggers at the beginning of the battle. But we end up facing this team with Whale plus Nessie. And Nessie plus Whale isn't the greatest because the second Nessie won't get any extra stats on the summon. You can see here it spawns as a 6/6 and doesn't increase in size. So we ended up getting the Black Bear and Farmer Crow achievements on that run. And then we want to look at some of the other units that are very similar. So the lower tier dung beetle, which is tier 2, faint, deal 2 damage to the least healthy enemy for each food this is eaten this turn. So you can see there's clearly a common thread there, abilities that power up based on how many times they've been fed. Unfortunately, the dung beetle can only ever hit one unit, and so here we're running double Anubis in order to try and maximize the value we get from the feeding. Here though, this team with the rabbit was going to be way too big. But this is a funny turn where I end up actually buying 3 soft ices. Probably never done that before. So that means that each beetle has been fed 3 times. So all the abilities are going to go off at start of battle here. And almost everything gets wiped by this sniping squad. Actually, the game kind of struggles there. Doesn't seem like it's able to process everything. And we end up winning as a result of the popcorn on the Anubis at the back. So that puts us on 9. And again, because I don't have Farmer Crow or Farmer Dog, we're just reliant on buying food from the shop to actually trigger the dung beetle abilities. So in this round, they've only been fed once. But then we face this really strange looking team here where they've got the sea dragon at the back. So it was only going to give experience to the lamprey, but we actually ended up sniping the lamprey first. So the experience went to the saber-tooth. And again, we're going to end up getting bailed out by the popcorn. Actually, the only way I could win there was to get manatee from the popcorn. So extremely fortunate there. And then here's another lineup where we mix the 2 teams together. We've got Flea this time. They've got a 91-95 behemoth here. But look what's going to happen when the black bear faints. We've actually got Mushroom on the Farmer Crow to feed the bear twice. 65 health, goes down to 1, and then the Mana Snipe finishes off the behemoth. Unbelievably satisfying to see that working as intended. Now here's another one. This is a very unusual run where I'm on turn 12. I have not lost at this point. I drew 3 rounds prior to this, but we haven't yet lost a heart. We finally get the Anubis, but obviously it's level 1, so it's not going to activate the black bear. And then turn 12, almost 50-50 werewolf, and a huge behemoth as well. But look at the stat reduction from the sea urchin. And we end up winning there. So completely outclassed in terms of stats, but the abilities really working in perfect synergy there. We grab another mushroom for the second sea urchin, and then I'm just going to rebuy popcorn to make sure that the black bear ability goes off. Although in this situation we don't actually have any summons in the back, so the black bear doesn't really do a whole lot. But then look at this. How often does this happen? A really strange 3 squad on turn 13. Clearly they're trying to maximize the number of feeds on this locust, but you can only summon 5 units maximum, and it's actually going to end up being an easy victory as a result of all the summons being reduced down to 1 health. So extremely rare perfect game situation there. It would have been nice to have faced a high statted opponent, but I'm not actually sure we could have won in that scenario.